Thank you for coming by. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And so Dr. Berglund, of course, a urologist from the Cleveland Clinic who comes by every so often, the first appearance in 2020. And fortunately, I was able to strip him away for a little bit from his other duties with the World Health Organization. He's just flown in from Milan for... Are there starting to be coronavirus conversations around the Cleveland Clinic?
The clinic already has a policy set up, and I'll be the first to admit,
yeah,
I have absolutely nothing to do with it,
yeah.
and I have very little, information or knowledge. But we actually have an emergency plan in place.
So that's the work of epidemiologists and things like that. I mean,
infectious disease, and really the frontline folks, the guys in the ED and guys and gals in the ED, and. So, the urologist is way down the list of who's involved, but it's, we got some smart people thinking this through. It's frightening.
But I imagine everyone, perhaps in your personal circle, you're the go-to guy.
Correct.
For asking what the hell's going on with the coronavirus.
And I pretend like I know what I'm talking about, and sometimes it works.
Just buy some masks, guys. Buy some masks. Get yourself a year-long supply of dry mac and cheese, and you'll be good to go.
I noticed you guys have Purell out.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we're disgusting.
That stuff's flying off the shelves.
And it moves pretty quickly because that is like a giant gallon-sized jug with a pump of Purell, and I mean... last part of probably December, it was probably 3/4 full or half full.
We got a full one over here.
Yeah, it goes pretty fast around here.
So regardless of coronavirus or no, there's Purell.
There's Purell on these premises.
That's a good idea.
But the hand wash, I feel like I'm OCD half the time. All the goddamn hand washing and because they're like, look, for most people, this is not going to be a big thing. It might feel like you have the flu. So they're like, wash your hands a lot. Don't touch your face. Like the stuff people would normally do. But it's hard. I understand where you have a contingent of people going, these things are always blown out of proportion. You're like, that is true. Like, a lot of things can be true at one time.
I heard that it's true that you can't get coronavirus if you pray to Muhammad.
But, I mean, they're seeing
Allah through Muhammad.
But, Iran had a huge explosion of them, and Italy, and,
I guess that was wrong.
Well, we have to rethink, how we do things. I'll tell you, for me... When I meet a patient, I like to shake their hands, and maybe I got to stop doing that. I mean,
So I switched to the fist bump a long time ago, but even the fist bump probably isn't enough to inoculate you from,
I don't want people to think that I'm being weird or not, don't want to touch them or anything, but I could be the person transmitting it if I'm not careful. So
please, sir, I don't want to be rude, but I need to maintain a sterile environment here. All right, we're doing very sensitive work.
We have to foam in and foam. The saying in the hospital is foam in, foam out. Yeah, everywhere you walk, you'll see these little canisters where the nice thing about it is when you wash your hands, it dries your hands out. This stuff has like lotion in it or something.
I gotta get me some of that.
That sounds nice.
I've got the same FOMO for FIFO.
Yeah, I have the same foam in, foam out policy for munching butt.
Come on.
I don't even know what that means, but it was funny to me. So, all right, let me.
Poundcake's got a thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's going on?
Well, just mentioning about how you foam in, foam out. I did the same thing years ago. Shut up! No,
yeah, you did.
It's gonna take a dark turn.
No, it's not. I'm being dead serious because honestly, I almost was dead.
He had swine flu
years ago when the swine flu outbreak came out. I got it. I was the only one in my class that got it, and I was doing the exact same thing because my mom is a nurse, and she gave me I don't know what type of foam it was.
When the outbreak came out, I like that part,
But I walked around school with it, and I was like, any basic bitch that touches me, I'm spraying my hands and washing myself with it, and I was the only one that got it. So did that lower my immune system or?
No, who knows how you got it? Somebody probably coughed in your face, or there's some things you can control and some things you just can't.
It was just very ironic because I was making a joke of it as usual, but. Yeah. I really was wiping myself and trying to be really
wiping
good
yourself, that's a big step, man. Proud of you.
Foam in, foam out, buddy.
Congratulations. All right, let's get going here, Dr. B.
Is it red? Does it itch? Does it hurt like a bitch? Is it red? Is it red? Is it red?
Okay, if you have a question for Dr. Ryan Berglund, who is a urologist from the Cleveland Clinic, and he joins us for Is It Red? Guys, if you've got odd stuff going on down there and you've got a question, you can text. That is 35192. You can call 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007, and you can email me, too, if you like. Hey, Patty.
Yes?
Hi, Patty.
Hi.
What's your question?
Hi, Dr. Berglund.
Hi.
My question is, I have had symptoms of a bladder infection for probably 7 or 8 months, and I've had 2 tests, and they come back negative. And I still feel like I have a bladder infection.
That there are a number of things that could be going on there. First of all, there are some atypical bacteria that can cause symptoms just like that won't show up on a routine culture. So ureaplasm, mycoplasm, chlamydia, gonorrhea, some of these things can cause similar symptoms. Interestingly, tuberculosis, believe it or not, which is difficult to pick up on a routine culture. So there's some atypical things that you can test for. I'm not saying that that's what's going on. The other thing is that you can have the symptoms of a UTI without actually having it. You can have a dysuria syndrome. I'm very cautious about using the term interstitial cystitis because that's its own
Me too.
phenomenon.
I wouldn't be able to remember that anyway.
It's a diagnosis that you would only give after meeting multiple steps of proving that it's there. But there are a number of other things that can cause the symptoms of a UTI that aren't like a traditional E. coli UTI.
See, I've been worried because my dad was diagnosed with a bladder infection for over a year, and he ended up having
bladder
kidney
cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is that part of the evaluation would include perhaps imaging and a cystoscopy to look for exactly that problem.
So I'd have to see a urologist.
It's been going on for months, and there's no source. I think you're at that point.
Okay.
All right, good luck, Patty.
Or you try the healing power of prayer.
There you
Thoughts
go.
and prayers.
Interstitial cystitis at the Agora this
Hey.
weekend, for the record. Alan, could you ask Dr. Berglund? I've got small brown bumps in the middle of my shaft. Started noticing them last year. Not sure what they could be. They don't hurt, but they look kind of weird. Small brown bumps.
Small
Your
brown
thoughts?
bumps, yeah.
Your thoughts.
There's a whole spectrum of things that can go on the penis, and some of the bumps are normal and some aren't. Certainly, if it's not ulcerating or painful, that's a good sign. But there's some lesions that that don't hurt that are actually problematic, warts or syphilis.
Mm-hmm.
So
all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
All the fun stuff.
So
Can you get like skin tags?
You can, absolutely.
Huh.
And just normal, a little bit of folliculitis can which is benign, but can look like.
Was that like an ingrown hair or something?
Yeah,
or
it's kind of on the spectrum of that. Yeah.
Okay. Alan, please ask Dr. Berglund, what is the best way to? Well, here we go. What is the best way to remove 2 small skin tags at the base of the shaft?
So first of all, don't try and do it yourself. Well, that is a
put away the toenail clippers.
You go find Rich Lee Miller, whatever his name was.
He got knives.
Lee Miller, and he's got his 5 knives. He'll cut it right off for you.
Just use the same razor you use for your Coke. You'll be fine.
There's no home remedies at all.
I would not. So
there are probably plenty of home remedies. They're not recommended.
I was going to say
doctor recommended versus home remedies.
We've seen some pretty ugly burns from the plantar wart home remedy
like compound
stuff.
W.
I would not do that.
It's bad news, right?
Not on the.
I imagine that the product itself would say don't use this on like a super sensitive area.
That's just something that a doctor can do pretty quickly, right? They just go in and just
pretty quickly
slice it off and you're fine.
That you would not. I wouldn't do yourself.
But if you're gonna. For this person.
Tie a string around it and it'll fall off.
I'm not going on the record with anything.
A question from one of our bureau chiefs in San Diego. He's got a small lump on his right testicle to half the size of a pea. And it's firm, but it doesn't hurt and doesn't seem to be growing. I'm curious the probability that this could be something like testicular cancer.
Testicular cancer will be in the testicle. So it's not around the testicle, it's actually in the testicle.
You wouldn't be able to feel it by doing it like a little...
You could. That small, it might be a little challenging, but you can feel it in irregularity or firmness on the surface of the testicle, but it's in the testicle. The stuff outside the testicle is usually benign. There are exceptions to that. But the first thing I would do is have someone who knows what they're doing examine the patient and then just get an ultrasound. A cystic lesion almost never is a tumor. Solid, 6% of the time or so. Inside the testicle, highly likely it's cancer.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about you is that usually your first thing is go to a doctor. Like, hey, how about we talk to a professional? Like, I love that.
So, well, and again,
it makes me laugh.
I'm always glad that we have you do this segment with us, but a lot of these are things too where it's like you would want somebody to be there and look at it, and you know, I mean,
I think part of the message is,
guy,
you want to go to a doctor to get that done, or you leave them there, and maybe they could be pleasurable for your partner if they get big enough.
Part of it is that there are a lot of people that don't have a relationship with just a regular medical doctor, and there are a lot of reasons that you should do that. I actually just got my first colonoscopy.
I got mine coming up too.
Yeah. Have you ever had one?
I had one recreationally years ago. No, I was having some stomach issues about 15 years ago, and they put me through the ringer. So I had they put the coat rack up there and everything, and they never figured anything out. So I had that, but that was for something completely, but the traditional standard, you're hitting 50, go get checked, I got that ahead of me.
So I had my colonoscopy, not a big deal.
Yeah.
I had 2 polyps, and, I'll tell you, if you follow the colonoscopy guidelines, you cut your risk of dying of colon cancer by 50%.
Yeah.
Wow.
But does it freak you out, though, knowing what you know? Does it freak you out, though, if they find anything? You go, well, I'm going to look into that.
Well, some of it's within a normal range, right? A family member of mine had one, and they found 17 polyps.
Yeah.
And that was like, the doctor was like, I've never seen this many on somebody before.
You're like, great.
He's fine. Like, yeah.
Do I get
one of those, like the Flintstones, like you push the orange sherbet?
Yeah.
One of my closest friends is a colorectal surgeon, Tom Garofalo. He's a fantastic surgeon, and he's told me similar stories where he's had people where he's gone in the colonoscopy and it's dozens of polyps that he's had to remove. But I'm actually
what Reagan had.
What exactly is a
I'm
polyp?
glad that they found something in the sense that I went in and had this looked at and had this intervene. I had an intervention in a timely fashion. Just imagine if I'd let that go.
Yeah.
What is a polyp?
I don't want to get overly out of my wheelhouse here, but it's potentially a precancerous lesion. So it's an abnormal growth in the colon. So got it removed. I have to get another one in 3 years. But just you should have a relationship with a doctor, so that if something weird like what we get called about comes up,
you got someone to go to.
Exactly.
Now, zoologists will realize that a polyp is also a kind of sea anemone. So if they do a colonoscopy on you and they find one of those up there, make sure, you really got to make sure that they know what they're looking at, because you got a whole other battery of problems if that's the case. Can men cause yeast infections in women?
Yes. Am I not the one to answer that?
Oh, really?
Mary speaking from experience, all right? He's like, that son of a bitch. Hey, Jeff, hello.
Hey.
What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, not much. I had a question about the doctor, what he thought about the free testosterone pills that are on the market, like the Nugenics and such. I know low testosterone, everybody starts losing testosterone after the age of 40. But do these things really help? But not necessarily with sexual performance, but energy and muscle building.
First of all, oral testosterone is not healthy, so I would not take that. Number one. Number two, any testosterone is actually a controlled substance. That's when you hear about anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroid number one is testosterone, and most anabolic steroids are some variation on testosterone. So those are DEA-controlled substances. So the stuff that you're buying in the store should not be testosterone. That would be illegal. So a lot of these things that are, testosterone boosters, I'd have to hear about.
They're like supplements that say they boost testosterone, right? Kind of that, like.
So I would have a healthy skepticism.
Yeah.
Whenever I buy something like that, I don't know. I don't. Without discussing specific ones, I'd have a healthy skepticism because
especially at the gas station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'd have a healthy skepticism about something that claims to improve testosterone.
Hey, Shelley.
Hi, guys.
Hi, what's going on?
I want to know, doctor, what do you think of ultrasound therapy for ED?
No, that's a good question. Actually, that's kind of a newer area of in urology.
You mean if the baby has erectile dysfunction?
Or just a new category on Pornhub that I haven't found yet.
Oh, stop.
We're offering it at the clinic. I know it's available and out there. It's a very reasonable reasonable thing to try. It's one of the kind of newer, more accepted therapies. It's a shockwave treatment.
And it does what? Like the end result is
help improve erectile dysfunction.
Okay.
So erectile dysfunction, the inability to obtain and maintain an erection sufficient for intercourse, you can potentially improve that problem with this.
Do they determine I assume there are strata of assessing erectile dysfunction. Does the mental portion of it come first, or do they go right to let's see if it's a physical thing? Because you've said for some people it's just a mental thing.
That's
or is ED the definition is physical?
Organic ED, though, is incredibly common.
Yeah.
So the first thing we'll typically do is just empirically throw a PDE5 inhibitor at it. And most of these are now generic. So, what we call Viagra, Levitra, Cialis, a lot of those are now generic, very inexpensive. Mm-hmm. So we treat most of these as organic and not, psychogenic, but
yeah, but
there's
the organic ED is so expensive.
Those farmers markets, they really give you the skunk eye when you go in there, too.
I have a question, though. Does sex drive and ED, if you have a low sex drive and you have ED, do those work together, or, can you have one or the other?
The two can work hand in hand, but they are separate phenomena. So libido is a separate phenomenon. For low libido is a separate phenomenon from ED.
That's like the desire is the libido.
I'll give you an example. So someone who's had a treatment for prostate cancer that has ED very frequently will have a strong libido, strong desire.
Oh, that sucks. And
they're horny. They can't get it.
And then
up.
you also have men that have a low libido that have very good, strong, rigid morning erections.
Right.
Raging.
So, for I have a friend that's on lithium, and he has, I think it lowers his sex drive. And he didn't know if he had ED because of that.
Lithium, that's old school.
Yeah. Lithium's a very effective treatment for bipolar.
Wow.
Yeah, still used.
So, is it his sex drive, or is it he's on ED, he has ED?
The first question I would ask that patient: do you have wake up with morning erections?
I'm gonna text him right back.
First thing.
Do you have morning erections?
Yeah. So
Poundcake's got a field project now that he's gonna.
Do you send pics?
Do you wake up in a tent?
I've been with my girlfriend. No, not that one. Sound like those texts. Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hey, love you guys.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So I have a small, BB-sized bump, and I went to the doctor and got it checked out. She said it's benign, but I'm curious if I need to get a second opinion from an actual specialist, a urologist, or something like that. It's on, I guess, the shaft, but it's below the scrotum.
Okay.
Kind of midway towards the back.
Right.
It's on the left side. You can feel it underneath the skin, and it feels like a hard BB underneath the skin. She said something about a gland.
There are a number of possibilities there, but a mobile subcutaneous nodule, very often those are benign. If it really causes you a problem, you can have it removed. Now, you got to keep an eye on that. If the thing's growing, changing, certainly if it ulcerates, it should probably be removed.
Okay. So just keep an eye on it. Make sure it's, if it changes in size or anything else. Then
a lot of these things, the bad actors usually change over time. So you just keep an eye on it. This is me giving you an opinion over the radio, having not seen it, but that's what it sounds like.
Okay, great. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Rick. Text, Alan, I am 32 and otherwise healthy, but very conscious about being 1 to 2 inches flaccid, but 7 inches erect. Is this normal? That sounds like a humble brag. Why would you care about that at all? But he wants to know if it's you just keep the lights off until you get up and running.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a grower, not a shower.
Is that normal?
Certainly his his erect length is above average.
Yeah.
So the average all the published results are kind of in the 5 to 5.5 inches range of the stretched length, which is roughly approximates erect length.
Sounds like a win-win to me. I don't know. He's
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Ryan Berglund is
travel
here.
size most of the time. Then when you need it, you got a whole situation. It's a Bruce Banner,
Travel size.
Yeah.
Your all your clothes tear off except for your pants.
Just picture like a telescope, which is like.
Dr. Ryan Berglund is here from the Cleveland Clinic. Guys, if you've got a question for Is It Red, you can text me 35192. If you're on hold, I will get you on the way back. You can call in your question 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007. And you can shoot me an email if you like at alancoxshow.com.
It's the Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS and everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app. Rover's Morning Glory.
We worked at a